Earlier I have solved two examples. One example is tilt is about a point above the base, that means light well. Other is tilt at the base, heavy well. I have solved it. Then one more problem I solved considering to find it out the magnitude and point of maximum bending moment in the well staining. Then the distance and maximum bending moment calculated. One example you can try at your home for pile also I have given. Then next is your sinking of the well. It is the last part of your well foundation, that is your sinking of wells. How actually construction has been carried out? This construction, this sinking part operation consists of the following steps. It has the following steps. First one is your laying the well curve. First one is your laying the well curve, and let us put it, draw it how it looks. This is a well, this is your sand island. If the river bed is dry, if the river bed is dry, the cutting edge over which the well curve is to be built, the cutting edge over which the well curve is to be built is placed at the requisite position. After excavating the river bed to about 15 centimeter or 30 centimeter, after excavating the river bed about 20 centimeter. When the depth of water is up to 5 meter, first part is if river bed is dry, very dry, no water is there, then you can excavate, you can place your cutting edge. Second part is suppose there is a water table or depth of water up to 5 meter, sand island is made before placing the curve, is made before placing the curve. The size of the island should be large enough to accommodate the well. Size of island to be large enough to accommodate the well in case of depth of water is more than 5 meter, there are three cases, one is dry, one is depth of water up to 5 meter. If depth of water is more than 5 meter, it is generally economical, or you can say economical to build the curve on dry ground. So, three cases how you are going to start your laying. First one is river bed, there is no water, then that is a very simple case. Then in that case you are going to do the excavations of 15 to 20 centimeter, then cutting edge can be placed. Second is up to depth of water is 5 meter, then what you are supposed to do, you place sandbags like this around the periphery, place one other above, so that you can provide a island, temporary island, so that cutting edge can be placed. If it is more than 5 meter, then try to build the curve on the dry ground. The next is your well staining. After sinking the well curve, the staining is raised by about 1.5 meter at a time. If height is 10 meter, the staining is raised about 1.5 meter at a time. If staining is built with straight edges, the staining has to be built, means staining is to be built, the staining is built with straight edges. Preferably with angle iron. Once the wall has acquired a grip of about 6 meter in ground, once the well has acquired a grip of about 6 meter in ground, the staining can be raised about 3 meter at a time. Staining can be raised about 3 meter at a time. Well staining means particularly initially you start at 1.5 meter at a time, then by you try to put it as a straight edge. Once you start it with a straight edge, then after you achieve up 6 meter inside the ground, then staining will be raised about 3 meter at a time. Then third is your sinking process. Sinking process is begun after cast the curve and first stage of staining. It began after cast the curve and the first stage of staining. The well is sunk by excavating material from inside the curve manually or mechanically. Well is sunk by excavating material from inside the curve manually or mechanically. When depth of water inside the well is up to 1 meter, when depth of water inside well is up to 1 meter, dredging done manually. So, dredging is done with the help of jams, or you can say excavation is done with the help of jams. What is jams? Jams is fixed to a rope moving over a pulley JHAM with the help of jams. JHAM jam is tied to a rope moving over a pulley pulled by man every time. A driver drives and pushes the jam into the soil. A driver drives and pushes the jam into the soil and comes up. The jam is then pulled out. In an improved version, the jam has been replaced by an automatic grab operator by diesel. I am just explaining, you can get a view here. Suppose this is a well, the cutting edge will be always outward, there is a water is here. So, people are sitting outside here, one person will go inside and they will cut it around the periphery. Once they cut the around the periphery, soil become loosened, it will go in a outward directions. This is how jam by manually it has been done, or it has been done by means of automated machines also. Generally in India, manpower is cheap, so one person will go inside and it dig it, because cutting edge is always outward from the ground. So, even if you cut the soil, it is going towards outward. So, it will go outwardly. So, it will help to remove your accident prone or accident things, so that accident can be avoided. As the well sinks, the friction of these on sides increases. As well sinks, the friction on sides increases. To accelerate the process of sinking, to accelerate the process of sinking, additional load known as net ledge, LEKENTLEDGE, is applied. It is generally in the form of sandbags. So, if I start with this, let us draw it. If I put it in such a way that this is my well, because the friction has been increased in the side, so to improve your well sinking, generally what happen, we apply the load. This is called net ledge. So, this because of additional load in the form of sandbag, the sinking process is going on. Next part is what procedure to be adopted to avoid tilt and shifts. The outer surface of well curve and staining should be regular and smoother. The outer surface of the well curve and staining should be regular and smoother. Then the diameter of curve should be kept about 4 to 8 centimeter larger than the outer diameter of staining. Diameter of the curve should be kept about 4 to 8 centimeter larger than the outer dia of staining. The cutting edge should be at uniform thickness and sharpness. Cutting edge should be of uniform thickness and sharpness. Dredging should be done uniformly in all sides. Dredging should be done uniformly on all sides in a circular well. Suppose there is a tilt, how do you rectify? For example, if you look at here, suppose this has been tilted, this well has been tilted, then what you are supposed to do it, additional platform you can provide at one side where you want to adjust your tilting. Then here you can apply load in the form of sandbags. Then you do the digging at this site. Excavation of soil in this side. So, what will happen? It will slowly the tilting will be adjusted. So, particularly what you are doing, eccentric loading applied, then a suitable platform, the platform has to be constructed on higher side. So, if you look at here, what I have started with this sinking of well, what are the following steps? First one is your laying the well curve. First one is your laying the well curve. There are three cases. If river is dry, it is very easy. If there is a water table up to 5 meter, then you can create a sand island before placing a curve. Size of the island to be large enough to accommodate the well. If depth of the water is greater than 5 meter, either you have to do by means of island or you try to do in the dry side. Second part is your well staining. Well staining, middle part is your well staining. Generally, well staining is raised about 1.5 meter at a time in initial part. That means sinking the well curve. Once sinking the well curve has been happened and it achieve a grip of about 6 meter in the ground, grip length about of 6 meter in the ground, the staining can be raised about 3 meter at a time. The staining can be raised about 3 meter at a time. First you take it 1.5 meter, then once it goes inside of your 6 meter, below the water level, then you can start at 3 meter, 3 meter, 3 meter interval. Then sinking process, it can be done by manually or mechanically. Manually what happen? The cutting edge is looks to be outward. Manually what happen? Manually people will go inside and cut it in the periphery of the cutting edge, so that it go outwardly. Then over the process of the time, once well is sinking down, what will happen? There will be enough frictional force. So to overcome that, you have to provide in a platform additional load in the form of sandbag, so that the sinking can be achieved very easily. Then procedure to be adopted to avoid tilt or shift. The outer surface of the well curve and the staining should be regular and smoother. Diameter of the curve should be kept about 4 to 8 centimeter larger than the outer diameter of staining. Cutting edge should be uniform thickness and sharpness. Dredging should be done uniformly on all sides in a circular well. Still after doing, if there is a tilt or shift, then what you are supposed to do? You prepare a platform on the higher side and apply the loading as I have shown here in the form of sandbag. Here it is there, you extend the platform here. So this is the higher side, this side has to be sinking process, this side has to sink or sunk. Then you do excavation of the soil in these sides. So what happened? It will be readjusted your sinking process. So this is all about whatever I have said right now. This is all about the well foundations I have started with. Let me revise it once again, so that you can catch it up. Started with the well foundation. Well foundation is a caisson foundation, it is a French term, and broadly it is 3 parts, categorically box caisson, open caisson and pneumatic caisson. Each caisson it has been explained. Then next is your advantage of your well foundation, that also I have discussed. Then shape of the well, what are the different shapes of the well and where it will be applied. As far as shape of the wells, circular, double D well, double octagonal well, twin circular, rectangular well. Then there is a cross section, longitudinal cross section I have shown you, that is your bottom plug, sand filling, staining, curve, cutting edge, cement concrete, RCC slab or well slab and pier. All the components, cutting edge, well curve, well staining, bottom plug and top plug, I have explained in detail. Then depth of the well foundation by Lacy's formula, how you are going to find it out, that part also explained. Then from caudal provision, from terzag end peg, ultimate bearing capacity, that also explained. Then different forces acting on well foundations, that also explained. Forces, dead load, live load, impact load, wind load, water pressure, longitudinal forces, centrifugal forces, buoyancy forces, earth pressure and seismic forces. Then stability analysis, lateral stability of well foundations. There are 2 cases, one is your light well, other is your heavy well. Terzag has given an approximate analysis, that also completely derived. Then for light well and for heavy well I have derived it. Then effect of surcharge also discussed. Sometimes what happen, above the sky level silt particles deposited, that act as a surcharge, that also discussed. Then maximum pressure at the base, F maximum, F minimum has been discussed. Then what is your maximum bending moment in the staining and at what distance, that also discussed. Then there are two examples, example 1 and example 2 I have solved. Then sinking of the well right now I have discussed. This is more or less I have completed about your well foundations. Thank you.